Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. God, I always have to figure this. Hold on a second. I always play it in the background to make sure it's working. Anyway, we're going to talk about the infinite money glitch, stuff we've been talking about for a long time. We're going to break down all the math for putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet. And again, everybody can do it. It's not a hard thing to do. We pop up, get ready for this story. This is called Bitcoin Treasury Math, a deep dive. We'll talk about the Bitcoin news first, how TradFi sold a bunch of Bitcoin right before the $4,000 pump. Amazing. It shows you TradFi is way behind where we are. And we'll talk about some liquidations. We'll talk about escape velocity, what price we need to hit before it goes back to all-time highs. And then we'll dig into Metaplanet, MicroStrategy, we'll look at some ARB opportunities, look at some math. We compare these assets to other assets like Ethereum and Bitcoin and see how they outperform. And then you'll know why I believe in the infinite money glitch and how I've been arbing this thing since 2020. Literally, I started in September 2020 before anybody was even thinking about it. Anyway, there's a lot of fun to be had. Let's jump in and go. Bitcoin Treasury Math. And thank you as well, everybody, for coming. And this is not financial advice. And, of course, Patak. Patakification says, I love your content. I love your Patreon. Thank you so much, Patak, for being in the team. Fear and Greed, back to 49, up from 2016 or 25 about a week ago. Not too bad. Let's break down some of the actual news right now and see what's going on in the world. First of all, don't have my clicker with me, would you believe it? TradFi homies sell $55 million of Bitcoin ETFs right before a $4,000 pump. Somehow people believed that Bitcoin would sell off, but they knew a rate cut was coming. And it was like the clearest thing as day, and I'd been talking about it for months. Anyhow, it shows you how us as retail investors have the edge. Everybody, back to the basics. Yes, as Beaver Moon says. So let's talk about what they actually sold. I forgot my clicker. Can you believe it? Here you can see a big amount of dump came from ARK, a little bit, of course, from the bleed out at Grayscale. And that was it. But nobody else bought. I do expect big volume today, big FOMO today from the institutions. Now, the other thing that's pretty important to keep an eye on before we get into the infinite money glitch, here you can see big Bitcoin liquidations at $65,000. We are $2,000 away from that level. If that level gets breached, thank you, Doug One. If that level gets breached, we could see $500 million in liquidations, everybody. So watch that level carefully. And 63, 64K is always a resistance level. We got here real fast. It shows you the asset can move fast. We do know Saylor is buying behind the scenes, either today or early next week, or if they can do some OTC action over the weekend. He will definitely do that because he wants these low prices. We'll get into that in a minute too. But also more exciting is Bitcoin escape, what I call escape, the green box velocity. Moto, good to see you, buddy. This is from CryptoCon. And he spoke about how it was October 2023 that broke 7 months of sideways Bitcoin price action. And it's really funny. The psychological toll that sideways action takes on investors is kind of staggering. It breaks people down. Do not let it do that to you. And Johnny Garganlon, Mike, a long-term holder. Sorry for being so late today. But don't let the markets mess with your head. They are designed to wreck your head. You got to be stronger than the markets, and it's all a psychological game. But here, the entire year, Bitcoin has been following that 2023 pattern, but 1 month ahead, which puts the huge breakout month at an odd time. That means it could be September based on this chart. But the one thing I want you to focus on is the green box on the right compared to the green box on the left. That green box on the right, we need to escape that, and that goes up to about 80,000, 82,000. We need to escape that before the so-called banana zone, the escape velocity kicks in. All right, so watch that carefully. Once we get above 80K, we should see some fireworks. Mirrors reversed. Anyway, it's better. On a small screen, it's better if my head isn't in the picture. But I'm here. It's live TV, trust me. That's why it's always so flaky. Anyway, the other thing that was kind of interesting is from Bloomberg. 81% believed there would be a big stock market rally after the big Fed cut. 81%. Only 19% believed it would go down. And you've heard me on the channel talking about how everybody was under the false pretense that a rate cut means catastrophe and we're all going to die and recession and the market's going to crash 50% and the complete disaster. No, that's not how it works. Okay, this was very much priced in too. Actually, I would argue 25 basis points was priced in, but the full 50 was not. If the full 50 was priced in, Bitcoin would have already been at 63,000. And again, when rates get cut, people look for alpha. They stop holding treasuries and they move into risk assets. Alex and Sandafa, thank you for coming. You guys are also kind. Now, the other thing, because this is a bit of a Bitcoin stock and how they correlate program, a lot of people believe, oh, there's no money to be made in stock markets. But that's definitely not true, and I'll show you in a minute why that's not true. But this is the S&P 500, and it broke a new all-time high yesterday. I added in the chart the global financial crisis and C19 on this chart. But this thing is up 500% since the GFC. 500% is a pretty good return for 15 years, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty good return. But remember, the S&P 500 is carried by the top 10% of stocks, not everything as well. Now, going a little bit further, my former professor from Wharton was on Squawk Box on CNBS. And people always think, no, it's CNBC. No, it's actually CNBS. But they do have some good guests. Jeremy Siegel said, it was the best news I've heard from the Fed in years. The 50 bip rate cut is fantastic news for the market and great news for the economy. You'll notice that him and I are aligned, but probably I have the cheat code because he was my teacher. Therefore, I think a bit like him, but all credit goes to him, of course, and Sherman Jack. So this is more about how the market was so wrong. 92% of economists, with the exception of Jeremy Siegel, were wrong about the 50 basis point cut. And, in fact, Polly Market was right. This is the wisdom of crowds beating the experts. Again, as I've stressed for years, this is the first time in my life where retail investors have the edge over TradFi, Wall Street analysts, all these people. We have the edge. We have the power. So stay strong, everybody. And this is the big story today. Starman Jack, thanks. This is Metaplanet. Now, there's been a lot of talk. You've heard me talk about Bitcoin treasuries for a long time. I've got a friend who's got a small plumbing company with 4 plumbers in San Francisco, and he has Bitcoin on his balance sheet. He's got a little small company. Again, 3 vans, 4 vans, and he's got Bitcoin on his balance sheet, believe it or not, and has had it since about 2021. But this is the new treasury math. Start getting familiar with this term, sats per share. This is actually Metaplanet, and now they have had, I think, about 500 sats per share, satoshis per share in May 2024. Remember, they started buying Bitcoin in April 2024. Now they have nearly 2,500 satoshis per share today. And sats per share is the new key metric I want you all to be focused on. Because I tell you, everybody is slowly going to figure out this money glitch. Everybody needs to have some Bitcoin on their balance sheet if they have a corporation. And that is the story, treasuries. But I'm going to get more into this. What happens when you add satoshis per share? This is nuts. So Metaplanet, by my calculations, they have about 398.8 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Small bag compared to Bitcoin, but it's also a much smaller company. But the point is, they started buying Bitcoin in April, and the stock is up 500%, which is huge. Another view of that. Oh, by the way, this is the Arb Cloud, and you can configure the Arb Cloud for any asset that holds Bitcoin. And you can see the price is actually under the Arb Cloud. So that tells me we're going back to 1,300 pretty soon, and I think that's in yen, by the way. Now, you can see since their first Bitcoin buy, the stock is up 478%. And I can guarantee you, if Metaplanet did not buy Bitcoin, the stock would be flat. In fact, probably down, because the Japanese central bank is still confused, still doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up, etc. So let's get into the deep dive on MicroStrategy, because if you follow this channel, you have a big bag of MicroStrategy that I promise you. We have literally 1,000 MicroStrategy millionaires at least in the community. Let's get into it. First of all, MicroStrategy did up the ante again. They are borrowing yet more money. The plan was for 600 or 700 million. They've upped it to $875 million in aggregate principal amount at 0.625%. If you had the chance to borrow $875 million and had the credit to back it up at basically half of 1% and buy Bitcoin, would you do it? The answer is hell yeah. So let's look at this, what this actually means. So, and yes, I'm still here. You'll see live. But this is what this means. It's from Matt. MicroStrategy is currently borrowing nearly $4.2 billion for a blended average rate now of 0.82%. Okay, I made a post on Patreon a few hours ago about the ravaging impact of debasement. Check it out. It is terrifying. You know, you may think, oh, I'm better off from 4 years ago or 8 years ago. But no, when you take into account debasement, you are not. It is no longer the silent thief. It's mugging you in broad daylight. So this is the first part. They borrow billions at basically nothing to buy Bitcoin. Now, another key chart. This is from Milk Road. And I've been doing this for years, but it's nice to see other people looking at things like the ratio of MicroStrategy market cap to Bitcoin holdings. You can see it's lower than it has been for most of 2024 and late 2023. Oftentimes, it's above 2 to 1. And people say, oh, but why would you buy MicroStrategy when, you know, there's a premium for their Bitcoin holdings? It's because of this. They borrow money at nothing and they buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up in value and they make billions and billions of profit. That is the money glitch. Another view as well of where we're going to go. Shout out to Josh as well for this one. This is the current MicroStrategy net asset value premium of 1.83. Remember, we spent most of this year at 2. So you could argue we are actually undervalued right now for MicroStrategy, given how much they are buying, how much they are stacking, how much Bitcoin price is going to go up over time. But this is key, and it shows you as well the amount of Bitcoin per share that you get, which I've been looking at for a long time, and you can convert that yourself. Actually, a good quiz for the community. Drop a comment below if you can convert 0.0012 Bitcoin per share into Satoshis. Let that be your homework, because you got to start getting familiar with what 100 million of something looks like. And as Bitcoin gets more expensive, it's going to be more out of reach for people. That's going to be a fun experiment. I wonder, can anybody answer it? And I do check all the comments. Next, this is the Bitcoin per MicroStrategy share. Again, it's 0.0012. And this is the little tracker where you can see exactly how much it is. Don't expect to wait for parity or for it to fall. It's not going to happen. It's not the way this thing works. And let's get into a couple of charts. Let's compare MicroStrategy to Bitcoin over the last 2 years. MicroStrategy is up 300% more than Bitcoin has gone up. Remember, Bitcoin has done a 4x. MicroStrategy has done a 3x of the 4x, which is a 12x. I know it's hard for people to understand that, but that's kind of what I saw as potential. In fact, I embarrassingly had a price prediction 2 years ago that in the bull market, I felt it was possible for MicroStrategy to hit $1,200, and this is well documented. After the 10-for-1 split, that's $120. Now we're nearly at 150. So my bull market target has been smashed, and the bull market isn't even over yet. So it's going to be a very fun thing to watch. And MicroStrategy ETH is up 622%. And remember, if you look at the return so far on MicroStrategy, if you held ETH versus MicroStrategy, you really lost a lot of money, or didn't make a lot of money, however you want to picture that. But that is a staggering chart too. Not only how Bitcoin has smoked ETH, but again, another 3x on top of that on how much more MicroStrategy has smoked Bitcoin. Add these multiples together, the numbers are staggering. Now, let's look at one more too. This is the Arb Cloud. This is what I've been using again for a long time. And this is an interesting chart. There's a couple of things to pull from this. For the first time ever, I overlaid the Arb Cloud on top of the ATR. The ATR shows you the buying zone down at that level 5-ish area and the sell zone. But the most important thing to look at is the trend line that's about to flip blue, which is very bullish. Also, the price, though, of MicroStrategy is now about to pierce the cloud above, which means typically that's when you move MicroStrategy back into Bitcoin, if you can do that in a tax-free account and not incur taxes. But you can see every time it falls below the cloud, that's when you buy MicroStrategy, or you swap your Bitcoin into MicroStrategy. When it's above the cloud, which it's about to pierce at this rate, that's when you flip back. Anyway, it's another infinite money glitch. And we'll see where we are going in the near future. Either way, it's going to be fun to watch this. And that's kind of where we are today with all things MicroStrategy. There will be a Bitcoin-only playlist here at the end of the video. And I want to thank you all for coming. Have a good day, everybody. I don't even know what day it is. I think it's Friday. Could be Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Anyway, thanks all for coming, everybody. Have a good day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. And tomorrow I'll be talking about all the Solana breaking news, maybe even a quick one later today too. Bye-bye.